So UFC Fight Night Paris is a phenomenal fight night. Now, when it comes to having a fight night, this is the kind of quality I expect from the UFC. Great main event, title eliminator main event, and a bunch of really fun stylistic matchups on the card. My only problem with the card itself is just like the order of the fights. I feel like there are some fights that are on the prelims that should be higher up or on the main card, and then there's some fights on the main card that should be on the prelims. But let's talk about the elephant in the room first before we start the picks, bro. I am not changing my name to Tony Has Lived. I am not changing my name to Tony Has Lived, bro. Okay? I was going to come on here and just drop like a hater-ass rant about Tony winning, but to be completely honest, bro, I can't be bothered, man. Like, the hatred, the hatred, even though he broke my rib, I'm not upset at Tony anymore, man. Like, I'm happy that he got the W, bro, but I will say this. The stoppage was early. The stoppage, it was a little early, bro. I will say, Salt Poppy, he was starting to like crumble a little bit, not gonna lie. But he fucked Tony up those first 2 rounds. Tony definitely could have got caught. I thought the stoppage was early, but Tony has lived. I'm not Tony Has Lived, but Tony has lived, bro. All right, so yeah, Tony won a fight. You know how I feel about Tony, bro. But I'm not gonna sit here and just pretend to hate. It was wholesome to see Tony win, bro. But some of these people are acting like Tony is back. Like Tony's back. Oh, like he beat Salt Poppy, bro. Calm down, all right. But yeah, Tony has died. Will be dropping my UFC Paris predictions. Let's get straight into this, all right? Starting with the first fight, which is Shauna Barron versus Sam Hughes. Now, I'm not going to spend too long on this one. Even though this is a super high level fight, bro. This fight, dude, the way that Shauna Barron went to war. I'm not going to even clown about that. That was actually a good fight. Shauna Barron's last fight against Pooja Tumar, I'm pretty sure she got dropped on the feet. She got up, somehow survived. A lot of other refs would have stopped that fight. She survives. Sam Hughes, on the other hand, she's 10-6 in the UFC. She has split decision with Victoria Dudikova, who we found out to not be that good. Actually, yeah, I honestly thought Dudikova could have won the fight. She doesn't, Sam Hughes has lost to terrible competition time and time again. And I know that she's a big favorite in this matchup, right? But I'm not going to lie, Shauna Bannon's only loss has been to Bruna Brazil. And besides that, she's had a close fight with Alice Ardelane, and she submitted Pooja Tumar. I like the finishing ability from Shauna Bannon. The finishing ability on some gooner shit here. I'm definitely not picking Shauna Bannon because she's goonable, all right? But she is. But that's not why I'm picking her. I just don't think Sam Hughes is that good. So I think Shauna Bannon should win this fight by decision. Now, whenever I was talking about fights that should be higher up on the fucking card, this is the fight I was talking about, or at least one of them. Why is this the second fight on the card? Rinat Fakhretdinov is fringe rankings welterweight. He is literally right on the edge of being a ranked welterweight. And he is taking on Andreas Gustafsson, who probably has the most fun style in the UFC right now. Andreas Gustafsson literally just walks forward no matter what, slings in the fucking pocket, and just throws the kill in every single one of his fights, bro. And honestly, with Rinat Fakhretdinov, I thought that he lost to Carlos Leal. I thought that he lost to Nicholas Dalby. And I thought that he lost to Zaletsky dos Santos, or whatever the fucking guy is. That is one name I can never pronounce. Elizu Zaletsky dos Santos, I think that's how you say his name, but you know who I'm talking. All 3 of those fights, I think, should have gone the other way. And I do like the momentum that Andreas Gustafsson is carrying with him, coming off of a super dominant performance against Chaos Williams, where he just walked forward and he's a marauder. He just marauded forward. Nobody is better than Andreas Gustafsson. than just like saying, fuck it, bro. I don't give a fuck if I get hit. I'm going to go out there. Now, if you've seen this guy's tattoos, he has a very interesting cover-up tattoo, if you catch my drift. Maybe he's listening to some Kanye West. Maybe he's listening to the Nicholas J. Fuentes show a little bit. If you're catching my drift with his cover-up tattoos, right? But for Andreas Gustafsson, I like him to win this fight. I think that he'll walk forward. I think that he'll pressure Rinat Fakhretdinov, and we've seen Rinat pressured in the past, and we've seen Rinat get hit with huge shots. I think Andreas Gustafsson definitely has more finishing ability than Carlos Leal. I think he definitely has better finishing ability than Dalby, and they made it very close damage-wise with Rinat. Whether you think they won that fight or not, you have to admit that it was close, right? But yeah, I like Andreas Gustafsson to win this fight. I'm going to pick him to win by second round TKO. The next fight on the card is Brad Tavares versus Robert. This is some fucking guy that just spawned in from Octagon. You know, Octagon, they've been doing all those events in Poland. He's a Polish guy. He's a 200 underdog. I'm going to be picking Brad Tavares to win this fight. The people that Brad Tavares has been losing to, apart from Bruno Silva, which is a very bad look in hindsight, but the people that Tavares has been losing to are the best people in the division. Gregory Rodriguez, he should honestly be ranked right now, all jokes aside. And Jun Young Park, the Iron Turtle, it was a split decision. A lot of people thought that it could have gone to Tavares, but I do agree with the split decision. He beat GM3 in his last fight. And that's kind of the question we have to ask ourselves is like, what is it like? Brad Tavares has very good takedown defense, right? So this guy is not going to be taking him down. And if you saw his last fight, this guy, Robert, I think you would say Berzicek. I don't even, dude, how the fuck do you pronounce this shit? It's kind of sad because I'm literally like 50% Polish, so you think I would understand how to fucking pronounce this, right? But Robert Berzicek? Berzicek. Fuck it, bro. I don't like, if this was an up-and-comer, if this was someone that was young in their career and they've put on the win streak they've been on, they got lost their UFC debut, I'd probably pick him, bro. But this guy's 35 years old, and he lost to Ihor Potieria. That is right. This guy lost to fucking Ihor Potieria. So he's clearly not that fucking good. I will take the journeyman Brad Tavares, who used to be a ranked middleweight in the division, who has great takedown defense, who has very decent striking. I will pick him to win this fight by 29-28 decision. So yeah, that is my pick. The next fight on this card is Sam Patterson versus Trey Waters. Call me crazy, bro. A lot of people are saying that Sam Patterson, he's on like a fraudulent streak because he beat Danny Barlow and he beat Kiefer Crosby and he beat Johan Lanice. And Johan Lanice and Kiefer Crosby are terrible. I'm not going to lie, bro. I still think Danny Barlow is a good win. All right? I know that's probably a crazy take to have, but I don't think that Danny Barlow is bad. And I think Sam Patterson, ever since he decided to I don't know how to explain this, but I just think that Sam Patterson, not only is he a better striker than this Trey Waters guy, dude, this guy's going to decision with fucking Josh Quinlan. This fucking Trey Waters guy. He's not that good. Now, I will say this Trey Waters guy, his only loss is to Gabriel Bonfim, and that was on Dana White's Contender Series, and Bonfim has now gone on to be a ranked welterweight. Now, I know that is a robbery win over Wonderboy, but it's still something to think about, is that the only person that Trey Waters has lost to is in the rankings now and is a ranked fighter. And you look at Yanal Ashmouz, he hasn't really done shit in the fucking UFC at all, right? But I still think that Sam Patterson, he's just lankier. He's going to have better striking, and I think he will find the shot. And he has great finishing ability as well. I'm pretty sure most of his wins come by finish. He got a KO in his last fight. A lot of people are picking Patterson to win this one by submission because he has such a good submission game. I think that this fight will be on the feet. And I think that if it stays on the feet, I think Sam Patterson will eventually find the shot and put him away. So, yeah, I'm going to be picking Sam Patterson to knock out Trey Waters in round 3. The next fight on the card is Axel Sola versus Reese McKee. I know it's crazy, bro. We finally saw Reese McKee get a W inside the UFC for the first time. But that doesn't change the fact that he's completely and utterly terrible at fighting, all right? Reese McKee, I don't think he's built for the UFC. I know he got a fucking W in his last fight. But Daniel Frunzo I'm pretty sure he was winning the fight before Reese McKee knocked him out. I know it was a crazy fight. And everyone was so happy for Reese McKee because he finally got a W. I mean, this guy, I'm pretty sure he's been cut from the UFC twice now. This is either his second time back in the UFC or this is his... I mean, and he just got fed Killer's Row as well when he was in the UFC, right? Chidi and Jaquani, Angelusa, I'm pretty sure he fought Chimaev. This guy got fed killer after killer after killer, and he's definitely made some improvements, bro. But a 10-0 UFC fighter from France, you know, I'm going to pick him to beat Reese McKee 9 out of 10 times, bro. Like, it feels like they're giving this guy, Sola, a layup because he's from France. Pretty sure it's his fucking debut. He's got a bunch of good wins on the regional scene, beating a guy that's 4-0, beating a guy that's 15-3. He beat a guy that was 5-0. He beat a guy that's 12-5, 16-7. So he's not just beating fucking taxi drivers like Khabib, right? And I think that he should be able to at least get to a decision with Reese McKee, bro. You know, I just don't think Reese McKee... I mean, Reese McKee is very hard to finish, don't get me wrong. I mean, Chidi and Jaquani couldn't finish him, but we all saw the Angelusa versus Bryan battle fight where Angelusa just showed he had no heart and he quit. He clearly beat Reese McKee. I just don't think Reese McKee, quite frank, just don't think he's built for this shit, bro. I hate to say it. But yeah, I'm going to have to pick Axel Sola to defeat Reese McKee by decision. The next fight on the card, Marcin Tybura. He's a great fighter. I'd love to fight him. Marcin Tybura versus Ante Delagi. I just don't understand what the fucking UFC is doing, bro. I don't get it. Because anytime that there is a fighter from outside the UFC that has like promise, right? Like this Ante guy, he's not that good, bro, but he could definitely be all right at heavyweight just because of how shallow heavyweight is. But for some reason, the UFC likes to take these fucking guys from other promotions and just feed them into the top 10 off the rip, okay? I'm going to be picking Marcin Tybura to win this fight. I'm going to be picking Marcin Tybura to win this by decision. I will not be surprised if he fucking gets a fucking submission or if he knocks him out. But I think Marcin Tybura has every tool at his disposal to go out there and just lay on top of this guy, okay? I don't think he's like... He beat Renan Ferreira, fair enough, right? And he beat another guy that used to be in the UFC named Maurice Green. I don't know if you guys remember who that is, but he beat him in PFL as well. But it seems like any time these fighters from other promotions come over to the UFC and make their debut into the top 10, they lose every single time. Quite frankly. So, yeah, man, I'm going to be fading this Ante Delagi guy. I learned my lesson. We're going to talk about the Kita fight with Pitbull in a second, but I think I've learned my lesson with these fucking PFL bums, bro. They're not that good. Someone like Tybura, who has been in there with the best of the division, I think he has plenty of experience to take care of some fucking PFL jobber, bro. So, and it's not even like this guy is young either. He's like a fucking killer. He's a journeyman himself. He just has been in the fucking PFL his entire career instead of the UFC. So, yeah, man, I'm going to pick Marcin Tybura. He's a great fighter. Marcin Tybura. Yeah, I'm going to pick Tybura to win this shit. He should get it done with ease. The next fight on the card is Umar Sy versus Brinson Ribeiro. Now, In his last performance, I was so disappointed in Umar Sy because I honestly thought that this guy was one of the best prospects in the UFC. I thought that he would go on a great run, especially the fact that they're 205ers. It's not that deep of a division. Umar Sy is fucking giant. He's 6'4". He's ripped. He had a crazy style, getting a lot of submissions and fucking knockouts on his like come up in the UFC, right? Fought at KSW. And then he lost to Alonzo Minifield, who is honestly, we can clown Alonzo Minifield. Who's like the Dan Ige of 205. You know what I mean? Like, he just kind of, he'll fraud check. He doesn't beat anybody that's ranked, but he'll fraud check a whole lot of these people coming up. But yeah, he only has one loss, and it's to Alonzo Minifield. Brinson Ribeiro, on the other hand, he is just not good, bro. He's the definition of like just a jobber, I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be Azamat Murzakanov versus Johnny Walker, right? Excuse me. It was supposed to be Johnny Walker versus Azamat. This fucking guy, Brinson, steps in on short notice to fight instead of Johnny Walker. He fights Azamat. Or it might have been Bogd. I can't remember who it was supposed to fight Azamat originally, but he steps in on short notice to fight Azamat. He gets fucking slimed out easily. He beat Dayar Nurzagai, but he fucking sucks. He's terrible. I just don't, he loses to, this guy got knocked out by Ming Yang Zhang. He got fucking knocked out by, not knocked out, but he lost to Magomed Gadzhialiyov or whatever his name is. I don't think he's all that. He's slow on the feet. He has bad takedown defense. I think Umar Sy can win this fight like any way he wants to, but I'm honestly leaning more towards a KO. So I think Umar Sy will find the shot on Brinson Ribeiro, who has been knocked out time and time again by his previous opponents. Should be an easy day in the book for Mr. Umar Sy here. A little bounce back. He's in his home crowd of Paris as well. Should be an easy W for him, bro. The next fight on the card, we got William Gomez versus Robert Ruchala. I'm going to be picking William Gomez to win this fight. I think William Gomez, honestly, I thought that he beat Haider Emil, and I know Haider Emil got knocked the fuck out in his last fight, right? But I still think that it is impressive that I thought that he got robbed against Haider Emil. And a lot of people thought that Joe Anderson Brito should have beat him. I scored the fight for Gomez, and I'll say this, bro. I even picked Joe Anderson Brito to win the fight. So the fact that I'm saying that I thought, that he won is kind of crazy. So, but yeah, William Gomez, he's fighting this guy named Robert Ruchala. Robert Ruchala, if you don't know, he's from KSW. And he just has a pretty decent, he's got knockouts or whatever. I feel like this is a fucking Lerone Murphy matchup where it's like, what's his name? What's the fucking guy's name? Not Patchy Mix. I'm blanking on his name right now. Aaron Pico. He had a lot of hype coming into the UFC. He had a lot of finishes, and he was he hadn't lost in a while, and he ended up fighting someone who we saw as kind of boring, as in he fought Lerone Murphy, and then in this case, I feel like Lerone Murphy is like William Gomez, right? Where he's pretty meh, everyone's like, all right, he just barely scrapes by all of his fights. I think William Gomez will show his UFC experience in this fight. I think he'll tit for tat outmatch Robert Ruchala to a decision. Maybe it gets a little bit scrappy in there at one point. Maybe it gets scrappy early. This guy is really good at landing elbows on people, and I could see that being a big problem for William Gomez, but I'm going to have to lean towards William Gomez to win this fight by decision. I think that he just has all around better technical ability. And he has the UFC experience. He's in his prime. I don't think that he lost his last fight. And so I think he's got a lot of good momentum on it. Joe Anderson beat Brito. He beat Diego Lopez, who is now in the top 5, and Gomez beat Brito. So I know that's a fucking stupid argument, but I mean, he has decent wins. Francis Marshall was undefeated. Jaron Aarons was undefeated. Those were better wins than anybody than this Robert Ruchillas guy has got. So, yeah, man, I'm going to be picking Robert. Not today. I'm going to be picking William Gomez to win this fight, all right? The next fight on the card is Patricio Pitbull versus Losine Kita. Now, if you don't know who Kita is, he is another one of these people that are from outside the UFC that just get glazed because he has had some crazy performances and a lot of fucking finishes as well. And he's in Octagon, which is one of the better promotions, and he's been the champion there for a long time, double champion at Octagon. And he will be fighting Patricio Pitbull in his debut. And I will say this. I was going to pick Pitbull originally because I just don't like to pick these fucking random people from other promotions. But then I remember to myself, Pitbull is a random dude from another promotion, and he's not in his prime anymore, okay? And I just have not been impressed with him in any of his UFC fights at this point, bro. Yeah, he beat Dan Ige, but did he do anything in that fight that was just like, dude, did you see what Pitbull did? No, man. He looked slow, and Dan Ige, he didn't look good in the fight either. It was kind of I was there in person watching that fight at 318. And I actually met Pitbull as well afterwards, so sorry to trash you, Pitbull. But I don't think that you should have come to the UFC fucking 5 years ago, bro. And it's not like Pitbull hasn't been knocked out outside of the UFC. Like, people are like, bro, this is a UFC fighter, Patricio Pitbull versus Kita. Pitbull has been knocked out outside the UFC before, in Ryzen and in the in Bellator. He lost to Sergio Pettis, who's a fucking flyweight. Then he lost to Yair, and he looked like shit in that fight, and he was like complaining to the ref during the fight and just didn't have anything for Yair. Then he had the boring ass fight against Dan Ige. So I'm just saying, Pitbull is not in his prime anymore. This fucking guy, Kita, he's 28 years old. He's in his prime. He is fast as fuck on the feet. I've watched a couple of his knockouts. And I just think that the speed advantage that Kita is going to possess in this fight, as well as the age advantage, where he's just so much faster and younger. Like, if this was Kita making his debut against, let me think of someone. Not Ortega, because Ortega looked shit in his last fight as well. Aljo. If he was fighting like Aljo in his debut, I'd 110% pick Aljamain Sterling. Or if he was fighting like Arnold Allen in his debut, I would 100% pick Arnold Allen. But I just don't even think that Pitbull is fucking rankings worthy. I just haven't been impressed with him at all in the UFC. And for that reason, I'm going to have to pick Kita to win this fight by knockout. In the third round, I think that he will be going tit for tat with Pitbull. Pitbull will be trying to, grapple a little bit, maybe do a little bit of ole on him, And I think that Kita will find the shot and put him away, man. And I swear to God, bro, this guy's going to call out Volk or something in his fucking post-fight interview when he wins. He's going to be like, Volkanovski! Dude, just slow your roll, man. You get a fucking ranked opponent in your debut. You're lucky it's fucking 38-year-old washed Pitbull and not, Yair or Arnold Allen or somebody that's actually, if this guy was fighting like Mavzar, I would 100% pick Mavzar to beat him. But I just don't rate Patricio Pitbull, especially at this stage in his career. And yeah, I'm going to have to be picking Luis Kita. Losine? How do you say it? Losine? I guess I'll have to learn. Losine Kita. I will be picking him to win his debut against Pitbull because I just don't. I could see Pitbull winning. He opened as the favorite. He's now the underdog. But I just can't. Pitbull has not impressed me at all, man. Like, I just haven't seen anything from Pitbull that makes me go, oh yeah, Pitbull, he's going to be a staple of this division for a long time. Who have you seen anything out of Pitbull that indicates that? Fuck no, bro. So yeah, I'm going to be picking Keita to win this fight. The next fight on the card is Fares Ziam versus Kyle Fernandez. Now, I think Kyle Fernandez is a pretty good underdog, but I don't think he's good enough of an underdog for me to pick him. Because I think I kind of feel bad for Fares Ziam because it seemed like the run that he's been on has been super impressive. Beating Jai Herbert, beating Claudio Puelles, knocking out Matt Frevola, brutally knocking out Matt Frevola, and then beating Mike Davis, who is seen as someone who was really, really underrated in the UFC. Fares Ziam kind of put it into that. I honestly just kind of feel bad for Ziam because I feel like he should be getting a ranked opponent right now for the run that he's been on, maybe someone like Michael Chandler, right? But instead, he's getting Cal Fernandez, who beat Garam Kutateladze, and just kind of like, do you remember this fight? Garam had Ilia Topuria, Alessandro Topuria, pretty sure he had Marab, and he had Chimaev, all in his corner. And he still fucking lost to Cal Fernandez. And look, man, I just don't think Cal Fernandez is good. He lost to Mark I cannot fucking say this name. Diakis? Mark Diakis, the guy that had the fucking red hair. He lost to him. I think anyone that's having a anyone that's having a close fight with Mark Diakis is not good. And I think that Fares Ziam, who in the past has been seen kind of as like a weakling, someone that can get bitched around in the octagon like he did against Terrence McKinney, I think that what Fares Ziam has done, he has found the ability to finish people. He has found the ability to impose his will. And I think that he's going to be able to do that to Fernandez. And yeah, man, I just don't like, what does beating Muhammad Yahya do for your fucking career, bro? You know, that is Cal Fernandez. Besides, it's like Garam and fucking Muhammad Yahya are your only wins, bro. I don't rate that. And I just don't understand why you're getting a jump into the top 20 of lightweight after beating Garam, who is like he's like the bottom. Like, I hate to say this about Garam because at one point we're like, man, Garam's underrated because he has that one fight with Gamrot. But I just think that's more on Gamrot than on Garam. Garam beat fucking Gamrot, and everyone glazed him. But I think there was just an off night for Gamrot, to be honest. And I think that Garam is cheeks, and I don't rate beating Garam. So I'm getting off topic here, but I think Fares Ziam should be able to fucking find the chin of Cal Fernandez, and I think he's gonna put Cal Fernandez away. Yeah. And I like the fact that this is in France too, because I think the next couple of fights, I think it's going to be pretty bad for the French. So, yeah, let's move on to the next one on the card, which is Paul Craig versus Modestas Bukauskas. I'm going to be picking Modestas Bukauskas to knock out Paul Craig. Now, I know that the last fight, Paul Craig looked pretty good against Rodolfo Bellato, and he actually knocked out Rodolfo Bellato with an up kick, but it turned out to be illegal, so it got overturned. I like the little run that Bukauskas has been on, knocking out Rafael Cerquina, beating Marcin Parachnio. He's a great fighter, you know. He beat Zach Puaga. I know this dude lost to Vitor Petrino, but Vitor Petrino is huge for the division. Bukauskas is kind of like a medium-sized. I'm pretty sure he used to be a middleweight, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, I think that Paul Craig at this stage in his career, despite this guy being like the Michael Johnson of 205, having wins over fucking this dude has wins over Magomed Ankalaev, Jamal Hill. He beat one more champion. I can't remember who it was, but I just, he's been knocked out and finished in almost all of his last couple of fights. He got subbed by Brendan Allen. He got knocked out by Caio Borralho. He got decision by Bo Nickel on the feet too. Like he got outstruck by Bo Nickel, you know? And I just think that if you're getting outstruck by Bo Nickel, who only had a fucking overhand, I think Modestas Bukauskas should be fine, bro. I think that Modestas Bukauskas, I don't think he'll have anything to worry about if this fight's on the feet. He'll just have to worry about the takedowns. And I think that he has like fought more physical opponents before that have better takedown defense. I don't think Paul Craig really has that many like good of actual takedowns. But if the fight just gets to the ground, then yeah, Paul Craig will have an advantage. But I don't think it will get to the ground. I think Bukauskas will knock him out in the second round. So yeah, I'm picking Modestas Bukauskas to slime out Paul Craig. The next fight on the card is Balaji Oki versus Mason Jones. Now, this is another fight that I'm like, why is this on the main card? Because Mason Jones has one fucking fight in the UFC, and it's against Jeremy Stephens, who was 40-something years old and has the most losses in his weight class history. I'm going to pick Balaji Oki to win this fight. I know he's had some close fights in the past. Like he had a very close fight with Timmy Kwamba, who isn't that good. And he had a close fight with Michael Aswell as well. He had a close fight with him. And this guy lost to Chris Duncan as well. But we have seen Chris Duncan go on to be very, very impressive. And Oki was actually doing very good in that fight before he got submitted. You know? And for Mason Jones, I just think like he was panicked. He shot a panic takedown against fucking Jeremy Stephens, bro. Like he had to grapple he didn't have to grapple. He was winning beforehand. But on the feet with Jeremy Stephens, it was very close. And that concerns me. That's something that I look at and I'm just like, all right, what the fuck? Why are you going to such a close fight with Jeremy Stephens? You know? But I'm going to pick Balaji Oki. I feel like these guys have very similar styles. I just like Balaji Oki. You know, this is a 50-50 fight. Don't get me wrong. All right. This could go either way. And, you know, I think Balaji Oki is going to find the fucking shot. Not the shot. I think he'll just be able to fucking tit for tat. I think he'll be able to outpoint Mason Jones. And I think if this fight gets scrappy, I think Balaji Oki has fought higher levels of competition. He has been more impressive. Even in defeat, he's been more impressive. I like this for Balaji Oki, man. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be the only person picking him in this fight, but I don't think Mason Jones is all of that. I just think that Jeremy Stephens fight, it left a very sour taste in my mouth for Mason Jones, who I just don't think has a future, really, to be honest. Like, how do I say this without sounding like a dickhead? Like, fucking Jeremy Stephens is like, they literally brought him back because it was only in Iowa, and you still had a super close fight with him, bro. Like, fucking knock him out. Knock out Jeremy Stephens. He's been finished more than anybody ever. I don't know. But yeah, until I can see Mason Jones show some improvements, I can't pick him, bro. Because that Jeremy Stephens fight just left a bad taste in my mouth. For real, for real. But yeah, the next fight, bro. We got the fraud of war. Benoit Saint-Denis versus Conor McGregor reskin Mauricio Ruffy. I think this is a very easy fight to pick, bro. And I think anyone picking BSD is kind of coping with the fact, like they're just kind of holding on, hoping that the BSD dream is still alive. And I think it's dead, bro. I think you got to pack it up. Benoit Saint-Denis, his best win is Matt Frivola. Yeah, his best. I mean, dude, you could say the same thing about Mauricio Ruffy. His best win is Bobby Green, right? And they both, you know, you could really make an argument that maybe Mauricio Ruffy is just the new Benoit Saint-Denis, where he has all these crazy highlights on the come up. And now, you know, he got a crazy kick finish, and now he's getting a shot into the rankings. I highly doubt it, bro. I think that the Fighting Nerds gym is legit. I think I think that training with Prates and another guy that's on this card in Caio, and I think training with Gene Silva, I think that he will be more than prepared for the fucking takedowns of Benoit Saint-Denis, who leaves his chin on a iron fucking platter to be sparked out cold in every fight. He got cracked against Poirier and put out badly. He got fucking mauled by Renato Moicano badly. And even in his last fight against Kyle Prepolek was landing clean shots on Benoit Saint-Denis. I think that this is fucking death march for BSD. I don't like this fight for him at all. He just and the thing is that he didn't make any adjust. Like, he wasn't even supposed to fight Kyle Prepolek. He was supposed to fight Yoel Alvarez. And a lot of the people picking BSD were like, he'll make some improvements on the feet. He didn't look like he changed at all. And so why am I going to pick him to change it all in this fight? Ruffy is calm on the feet. He should be able to just find the fucking takedown. Not takedown. He will be able to find the shot, and I think he will put Benoit Saint-Denis away badly in the first round. And that is my prediction. I think Mauricio Ruffy is going to spark out Benoit Saint-Denis in the first round. So, I think anyone still picking BSD is just kind of coping. I think that you guys have to realize it's over. This guy lacks basic fundamentals. Like, yeah, it's a badass that he was in the military. Respect for that, for sure. But at the same time, that's not going to help you win the fucking MMA fight. That is not going to help you. When it comes to fucking, you have a guy who's only lost one time in his whole career, and he's on like 4 out of his last 5 wins have all been by brutal knockout, and he's on the most hyped up team in the UFC. I don't think that the fact that you went on special ops missions in 6 years ago is going to help you. So, unfortunately for the Fraud of War, I think this is it. I think he's getting slaughtered in front of his home crowd. He's going to surrender, But yeah, I think Benoit Saint-Denis is done. And for the main event, Caio Borralho versus Nassourdine Imavov. I am going to be picking Caio Borralho to win this fight by decision. Now, here is why. Yes, fucking Imavov has been on a tear lately, and he has put together a lot of good wins. But in these wins, I have seen weaknesses in every single one of his fights. He lost the first fight, Adesanya fight. All right, let's start with Adesanya fight. Yes, he found the knockout on Adesanya. But Adesanya was piecing him up on the feet before then. And he was able to find the knockout because Adesanya has so much film in his career. He makes the same mistakes that he's made, and he's predictable now. And Imavov found the shot to put him out. The Brendan Allen fight. Brendan Allen lost this fight because he was an idiot. He got Imavov down easily in the first round, held him there and beat him up. Second round, he starts fucking Imavov up on the feet. And this is what I'm trying to say is I think Imavov has clear weaknesses on the feet, bro. If Brendan Allen was able to fucking have better, Brendan Allen was landing clean on Imavov on the feet, bro. But yes, Imavov comes away with the win because Brendan Allen made dumb decisions in the fight. Then the Cannonier fight. Not only was it an early stoppage, Cannonier was landing good shots on Imavov, and he was doing good work in the clinch as well before the stoppage. But it was a terrible stoppage. The next fight, the Roman Dolidze fight. I don't know how the judges scored. Roman Dolidze won a round, I'm pretty sure. If I'm remembering this fight correctly, it was in the Apex. It was the main event. Imavov got a point taken away from him for some reason. But if I'm remembering correctly, Roman Dolidze had a couple of moments of success in this fight, bro. And we just saw what Fluffy Hernandez did to Roman Dolidze. And then you think about the Chris Curtis fight. Okay, accidental clash of heads. The Sean Strickland fight. I mean, this guy lost to Sean Strickland. I like Caio's brawler style. Phenomenal striking. I like the team that's around him. I like the power he possesses on the feet. I like the fact that he knocked out Paul Craig brutally. He beat Abus Magomedov, who has gone on to prove to be a decent fighter in the division. He beat Michelle Olajaychuk, which is ironic because Michelle is now training with them. And he's gone on to put on good wins himself. And then he beat Cannonier. And he basically knocked out Cannonier in that fight. Like, legitimately knocked him out. But that time it was a late stoppage, and it didn't get turned into a stoppage, and it went to a decision. I think that Caio Borralho will land better shots in this fight. I think he will brawl forward. I think Imavov lacks certain shit on the feet. And, yeah, you could say Imavov has the ground game. Caio's a black belt. He does grappling tournaments, and he does good in those tournaments as well. And so I really do like Caio Borralho to win this fight by decision. I think he could maybe even get a knockout in this fight, but I'm going to play it safe and say he gets it done by decision. All right. So here are my final predictions. I got Caio by decision. I got Ruffy by knockout. I got Oki by decision. Bakauskas by knockout. Zion by knockout. Kita by knockout. Gomez by decision. Umar Sai by knockout. Marcin Tybura by decision. Solo by decision, Patterson by knockout, Tavares by decision, Gustafsson by knockout, and Bannon by decision. And that will do it for the video. I'm glad we're back to a fucking normal week where we have UFC on Saturday. Man, just seeing Tony win was kind of making my blood boil. I'm just kidding. But, he broke my ribs, so I can't be too happy with Tony winning. But yeah, if you like the video, like, subscribe to all that YouTube shit. I'm super hyped for this card, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.